All right, Ian.
Yes.
How are you today? Hey, lovely name. Yeah, no better name than Ian. There's a Ian Taylor, who's Christian Taylor's father. I always tease him and say, "Hey, we got the best name in the world. There's not too many of us running around here."
Right, and most people can't pronounce it. 3 letters and they can't pronounce Ian. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been butchered. So, Ian, welcome back to Georgia for our championship here. It's always wonderful. And I always tease Jim and give him a hard time about developing the sport, and I think he's doing a great job in developing the sport. But in your opinion, how are we going to grow the sport? How do we make it appealing to a greater number of athletes?
I think that one of the things we can point out is a gold medal for the 100 meters is identical to the gold medal they give for the 20 kilometers in race walking in the Olympics. It's an event group within track and field. We love track and field. I've had a go at everything. Do you know I can pole vault high enough to actually get onto the landing area? I'm proud of that for somebody with as much slow twitch muscle as I've got. I think people should have a go. The analogy I give is to say, think of running as being like freestyle swimming. And what we're doing is more like butterfly. It's a race. You're going from A to B as quickly as possible. Well, that's true for the 100 meters. We've got some rules. Well, hang on. Isn't that the same in hurdles? You're going from A to B as fast as possible whilst going over a certain number of hurdles at a certain height. We're going from A to B whilst abiding by 2 mechanical laws of race walking. Same as butterfly swimming. Swim from A to B as fast as you can. Oh, and here are the stroke mechanics you're allowed. It's an endurance event, but it's also a skill event. So it's got some technical aspect to it. How do we develop this? I think we need to get more of the long distance runners to have a go and learn how to do this. Some of them will find they're rubbish. They're terrible at it. It hurts. They hate it and they don't want to do it anymore. Some of them, though, will probably find they're quite good at it, that it hurts no more than running, and they can win medals at it.
Now, you make some really great points. But as a coach, you understand it's talent. We identify the best talented athletes, be they young, be they old, what have you. So race walk is challenged in the sense that it's not in the NCAA, it's not in high school, and the only opportunity between high school and the collegiate programs is the NAIA program. And right now, there's a trend in the NAIA division in reducing those programs. They're either dropping athletics, period, or they're going to the NCAA, which they don't contest. So in your opinion, how can you lobby the collegiate organizations to adopt race walking?
I think it's just laziness on the part of some coaches in the NCAA to not include it. If they can coach something as complex as pole vault, they can sure as heck coach something as simple as race walking. There are some very supportive NCAA coaches, so I hope any coaches listening to this don't take that as a slight. We've been very fortunate. Coach Gary at Furman University has graciously invited us for the 3rd year in a row to have a 5,000 and 3,000 meter track race as part of Furman's meet at the beginning of April next year. Okay. It's tremendous. He's an Olympian himself and has been very supportive of the idea of race walking, although it is not an NCAA event. So it can be done. Erica Shaver from Furman University was the youngest woman to qualify for the 20-kilometer race walk Olympic trials in 2012. Okay. And her support group was the cross-country team. She ran cross-country and she did a time trial race walk, and I tell you, most of the team turned up to cheer for her. It was really quite impressive. So she got lots of them to have a go at it, and some of them couldn't get the form at all. Some of them, and I think this is a direct quote, "Oh no, my shins are on fire," was what one of them said. But others, you looked at them and you said, they've got some talent. They could do this. I wish we could get them to stick with it. So the opportunities are there outside the college stuff. There's Junior Olympics, for example, but we have national events scattered across the country. And just having the mental resilience to say, right, I'm going to try this, and to go to one of those events is the first step. The race walking community is very supportive, particularly of new people, people who are coming in and trying it for the first time, because we've all been there. Having a judge look at you for the whole of a 5K or a 10K race and check your technique, it's quite daunting. To get to the point where you can relax and just say, I'm going to race and focus on how fast you're going, takes several months of practice to simply be a reflex. And getting through those first few months is difficult, and that's where you need the support and encouragement of the race walk community.
But have there been any lobby efforts, I should say, any lobby efforts at the NCAA, at the NAIA, at the high school level to incorporate race walking? Because right now, I guess the challenge for you is athletes. You either are a race walker or you're not. You're not a person that's saying, okay, I'm not good at the 100, let me try the 200. If I'm not good at let me move up to the 400. If sprints isn't my thing, well, let me try the middle distances or the distance events. So there's no transitional programs in there. And I haven't seen personally, and I've been around track for about 28 years, any real effort to try to recruit athletes to transition from the endurance events to race walk, other than, the few people that, try it. So what kind of efforts are going on in trying to recruit the best athletes to become some of the great race walkers? Because you're absolutely correct. The medal is the same. It looks the same. The issue is, as the kids say, they don't see the swag in being a race walker, because an Olympian is an Olympian is an Olympian. A gold medal is a gold medal is a gold medal. But the pool of athletes is different. So what efforts are being made in order to recruit those athletes?
Yeah. We have had an ongoing program to recruit elite middle and long distance runners. Okay. Erin Gray, who raced in Moscow IAAF race brilliantly, about a 1:33 for 20 kilometers, was a very, very talented 10,000 meter runner and cross country runner at Arkansas, who have quite a decent program.
Yeah, I think so.
And she came over to race walking in about 2010, I believe, and qualified for the Olympic trials and finished second. So,
pretty good
yeah,
chance.
yeah. Her mechanics are still not quite perfect. I think she can go faster for the same level of fitness, which is quite daunting, I have to say. She still has untapped potential. But if we can encourage more people to try race walking, and I would particularly encourage 1,500, 3,000 meter steeplechase type runners to have a go. The reason for that is they have intrinsically got more leg speed. They're more used to a high cadence. A marathon runner might run 170 strides a minute. Okay. If you're running 1,500, you're more accustomed to the 200 steps a minute, which is the kind of rates you need in race walking. We're limited on stride length because of the lifting rules, so the only way to go faster is to pick them up and put them down quicker. And the most elite people. Here's a good example. Annarita Sidotti from Italy. Wonderful short lady. I'm sure she would be upset about being called short. She's about 4'10". And
she's vertically challenged.
Yeah, but we counted, she's an Olympian, she's top 10 in the Olympics. We counted her steps at a race up in Detroit. She came over and guested in a race up there. She was taking 240 steps a minute. It was like, whoa. Hang on, let's recheck that. We're out with the stopwatches. 1, 2, 3. Whoa! And she maintained it. She was doing 10 kilometers with that kind of step rate. It was mind-boggling. So it's maintaining a very high step rate with good technique is what we're looking for. So if I had talent identification going on, I would say I'd like some of you 1,500 and 800 meter runners to have a go at this. But they're going to have to develop endurance, because the 20 kilometers takes about an hour and a half. Okay. Elite men, an hour 20. To make a US team, if you can get under an hour 30, you would probably make a US team, maybe the Pan Am Cup, one of the development meets like that. And the 50 kilometers, which is the longest event in track and field, 31.1 miles. The elite walkers take about 3 hours, 40 minutes, somewhere in that range. If you can get under 4 hours and 5 minutes, you would make a UF team, possibly as an Olympian. Now, that translated is the physical equivalent of running about 42 miles in terms of energy expenditure. So it's more like an ultra endurance race, but it's done with a very high step rate, which takes a little getting your mind around. And I would challenge some of our best physiologists and coaches who work with middle distance runners and long distance runners. What would you do in terms of training to get somebody to be really good at walking with a very high step rate for a very long way? I'd also say we've been quite lucky in that Jack Daniels has been involved coaching race walking. He's applied some of his running training techniques, and he worked with Teresa Vale, an Olympian for the US at women's 20 kilometers, quite successfully. So if you have a race walker who's learnt techniques somewhere else and you're used to coaching middle and long distance, you can apply the same types of training programs, but you have to do it by time and effort. So if I tell my runners, you're going to do 5 reps that take about 5 minutes, let's say they're doing rep miles, and you're going to have 5 minutes rest between. And I have some walkers, I would have to tell them the equivalent session is 5 repetitions with 5 minutes rest and about a kilometer of walking. Okay, so you cover a kilometer in about the same time somebody covers a mile. As a mid-level walker, that's a good analogy. The shorter distances, though, it's much harder. There's no top gear in race walking. Right. You turn on 200 meters at the end of a race, and I'm already at full speed. I might surge for the last 800 meters, but I can't kick in the last 100 meters in 13 seconds or something the way most runners can. So if I go to a local running event, I walk in the event, there'll be people that I'm walking and they're running and they're right next to me and we're backwards and forwards through 4,800 meters of the thing. The last 200, boom, they're gone because I don't have that top gear. So I have to try and burn them off early. But that's just an idea of some of the differences.
Well, Ian, thank you very much. We're going to let you outside the oval today, as I call it, and I appreciate it. Go warm up. Good luck. What do we expect today?
I am going to walk on heart rate. I'm getting ready to race a 50 kilometers in the end of November. So I'm going to walk 20 kilometers. I'm going to go on heart rate and try and hold just below threshold. So about an hour 48 is my guess. And guess is all it is.
Good luck, Ian. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.